Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to my STL playlist series where we discuss different SQL tips and tricks which can be used during interviews and during contests. So today we are going to talk about const correctness in C++, which is a very helpful feature. I personally find it very useful, especially when I'm dealing with large code base. So first of all, let's try to see the problem and then we'll try to find the solution to it. So let's say our problem is that given a vector we want to do some operation on the elements of v, and here the operation is that we want to find out the product of all the elements of the vector v and print the product. So let's try to implement this method find product. And prod equals 1. you can code you can code this simultaneously with me if you want. Prod, okay, and return prod. So let's try to print this, compile this and run. Okay, so the product is 90. So far so good, but there is a little problem with this approach. So if you see here that I'm doing find product and here I'm passing the vector by value. So what would happen is that all the values would get copied, and copying an object is like usually discouraged unless you really want it. So it's computationally expensive too. It's a waste of resource. Like you're literally copying all the elements of vector, and let's say if the vector is very large, it will take a long time. So what we usually do is to overcome this issue that we pass the vector by reference. So what happens is that now the vector elements are not copied and the vector elements are copied by reference. So let's try to run this, and yeah, so if you see we get the same result here, but there is a little bit of problem in this approach. So now what can happen is that let's say if this function itself is very large and we are doing a lot of things, and let's say at one place we just accidentally did something like v0 equal -1, right? So what would happen is, we'll see. Okay, let's try to print the vector 2. Okay, so if you see now the vector, the zeroth element of the vector has become -1. And why did this happen? Because the vector got passed by reference and it is not passed by value. So every change which I make in this function is not local to this vector. Like this would be reflected in the vector in the main function too. So what can we do to avoid this? We can do one thing. We can remove this reference and pass it by copy. But then again, we'll run the same problem. Uh, and in fact, we'll go back to where we had started. That we did not want to copy this vector, right? So, so there is this concept of const. So const basically means that you can pass its vector by reference, but it will make sure that you don't change it. And if you change it, it will throw a compilation error. Let's see. Yes, if you see, it says that assignment of read-only location. So you cannot assign anything to a read-only location. So this vector v is now a read-only location, and you're trying to assign something. So you'll be like, oh, okay, in line number 12, I can see that there's an issue. I'll comment it out, and there you go. You can see that now it's fine. So why do we use it? Why we use it? Because in long code bases we might accidentally change the values of the data structure which we are passing, which we don't even want to. So this basically is to avoid those accidents. And now if you're like me, you might want to go a little clever and try to, let's say, do something like, hey, I'll just pass this vector to a different function, and this this function would and I'll change this vector in this function. Okay, I mean, you might want to do it right. You can try to. Let's see what would happen if we do something like this. See, so now it is giving me an error that binding reference of type vector to const vector discards qualifiers. So it is saying that you cannot pass this, since this vector has been passed as a const. You cannot just pass this vector as a bare vector. You have to pass this as a const, right? So you get it, right? So now that you are passing it as a const, you cannot violate this any principle of here too. Like, you cannot do anything like this. Let's try to do this and then see what would happen. See, it says that line number 6, v0 equal to 1, assignment of read only location. So yes, this actually is a very cool feature, I would say, which avoids like accidentally changing the values of data structure which you don't want. I hope this was helpful for you guys. Hope to see you in the next video. Thanks. Goodbye. Tata. Good night.